my February wrap up. I hope the lighting is fine. It's super cloudy outside today, so yeah. This was a weird reading month for me because I don't know if y'all are tuned in, but I live in Austin, Texas, and that means I live in Texas during a winter storm, and my power went out for 4 days, and my water went out for a really long time as well, like longer than that. It's still going in and out. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. And so beginning of February me is not the same as post snowpocalypse me. And it really did impact my reading, and especially like what I read this month. But I'm just gonna get into it, I guess. The first book that I read, the first book I finished, I actually started this book in January. This month was Dune. This is a fantasy sci-fi book. There's gonna be a movie coming out soon, so I wanted to read this. I listened to it on audiobook, and I liked it. I thought that the world building was good. I liked the characters and like the character development. This like definitely spans, like the book spans over time. But I mean, I could have enjoyed it better probably. I gave it 3 stars. It took a while for me to like actually get into the story, and I kind of want to reread it. I don't know if audiobook was the best way to consume this for me. I don't know if I just lost some things, but I also want to continue reading this series in audiobook form. So the narrators were pretty good. I wish that they had taken more advantage of their full cast. I think that's my biggest criticism of the audiobook specifically, is that that's full cast, but they weren't using it to the best of their abilities. But yeah, 3 stars for that one. It was pretty good. The next book that I read this month was Rebecca. I read this book because of Taylor Swift, okay? I don't know if anybody else knows this, if anybody watching this is a true Swiftie like me, but Tolerate It, which is on Evermore, is inspired by this book. And so I read it and I really enjoyed it. This is like a classic thriller, I guess, horror. It follows an unnamed narrator who marries this guy who is a widower, and Rebecca is his wife who died, and he kind of sucks, and I loved this book. Like, I was really into it, and the plot twist it pulled me in. Like, I know that some people might have been expecting it, they might have seen it coming, but I didn't. I'm a dumb bitch. And so I did really enjoy this, and I thought it was really entertaining and well written. Like, the first part of it, I was like, yeah, this is fine, whatever, cool. This housekeeper is creepy. And then at the plot twist, I was like, oh, this book is really good. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. Oh, also, I did DNF a book at the beginning of this month. It's called Happily Ever After, and this book was really good, but my anxiety was weird, and sometimes reading about teen girls doing teen girl things that are normal for teen girls to do but are embarrassing for me to read, and like I know that they're embarrassing themselves a little bit, it makes me like super anxious and stressed, and I just couldn't handle the stress of reading this book at the beginning of the month, and so I did end up DNFing that. And then the next 3 books that I read this month, I read To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and then also P.S. I Still Love You and Always and Forever, Laura Jean. The movie came out this month, the third one, and so of course I had to reread these books. I love Jenny Han. Like, she is one of my top favorite YA authors and has been for years. My copy of To All the Boys I've Loved Before is signed once, twice, and it also is personalized. So the love I have for these books is like very big. I ended up changing my rating of this one to 5 stars this reread, and I also rated the second one 5 stars, and I rated the third one 4 stars. These books it's like fake dating, and then there's some love triangle stuff. I don't know. Read it, watch the movies, whatever. Books are way better. But yeah, I like those books a lot. I reread those this month. And then the next book that I finished this month was The Woman in Cabin 10, which is a thriller about this woman who goes on this high-end cruise, and she like goes missing, but she like sees somebody, and she thinks that somebody gets killed, and it's like, I don't know. I gave it 2 stars. It was not fun. It was kind of compelling. I don't know. Ruth Ware's protagonists kind of suck all of the time, and in The Turn of the Key, it was such a compelling story that it didn't really matter, but I did not like this protagonist. I thought she sucked, and I didn't want to read about her, so I gave it 2 stars. The next book that I finished this month was A Black Women's History of the United States, which is a nonfiction book that just follows Black women's history from pre-slavery to now-ish, I guess. And it's really accessible to read. The authors tell stories and they name a bunch of different women throughout history, and it makes it really clear how different types of Black women experience different things during the same era, and they do a really good job of like situating Black women's history like in the broader view of history, which is something that I really appreciate because I struggle with history because like multiple things were happening at the same time, and that's crazy. So yeah, that was a nonfic. I don't rate nonfiction, but that was really good and informative. The next book that I read this month, my favorite book that I read this month, is Wilder Girls. This is a YA book about a girls' school where they are quarantined because they all have weird disease things. It's got a bunch of body horror, and it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I did read this one pre-Snowpocalypse, so I can't remember exactly what I liked so much about it. But I did like it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was super fun, and yeah, I don't have much else to say. The next book that I read was Minor Feelings. This is a collection of essays that situates like the Asian American author, and she just kind of delves into her life, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. A couple of the essays seemed like they didn't really belong in this same book. There was one that I really enjoyed because it was just about her friends, but it didn't feel necessarily right situated with other essays that were about more serious topics, I guess. Yeah, this is a nonfic. I don't write nonfics anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. Okay, so after I finished that book, my power came back on at 2 a.m. and then I read the first 3 Bridgerton books in a day. So those, I read them in a collection, but it's The Duke and I is the first one, and it's about Daphne and Simon. It's the first season of that of the show on Netflix. And then the second one is The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is about Antony and his love interest. I liked this one the best. And then the third one is An Offer from a Gentleman, which is about which is about Benedict and his love interest, but it's also a Cinderella retelling, which was weird. I gave the first and the third one 3 stars, and the fourth one, and the second one 4 stars. These are really fun and enjoyable, and they are like kind of problematic. There is like some stuff that happens in them that sucks. The first book kind of just has Daphne assault Simon, and it's completely glossed over, which is bad. She should have been held accountable for her actions. But I also really liked these. Like, they were fun and enjoyable, and I read them really quickly. They were very entertaining. Yeah, so. And then the next 12 books that I read are like my comfort blanket books that I read about once a year when I'm feeling not great. And it's the Ghost Bird series by C.L. Stone. Right now this is a 12-book series. The 13th one is coming sometime, probably this year. And these books follow Sing Sorensen, who is the sheltered girl, and she meets 9 guys who like kind of save her from her abusive mother, and they are members of this thing called the Academy, that like they're kind of like spies, I guess. That's a bunch of dumb crap happens in these books. Like, none of it makes sense. They're very action-packed. It's not good writing. I gave every single one of these 2 stars, but I've read them so many times because they're just like mind-numbingly entertaining to me, and sometimes I just need my mind to be numbed. I can read 3 of these in a day, and I did this past week. Yeah, I like, they're really bad, but they're almost so bad that they're good. And then the last book that I read this month, I read it yesterday, is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This book is the late night book club's pick for this month, and so I just wanted to read it and participate in that because I love my homies Noelle and Joel and Elias, okay? This book follows Enchanted. She meets a artist she is 17, and she meets an artist who's 28 at a singing competition, and he grooms her. And it's just about that relationship, and also he dies. You find out he's dead at the beginning, so that's not a spoiler. This was really good. There were a couple parts of it that felt pretty rushed, but I really liked Enchanted, and I liked this story, and I think it's an important topic that needs to be talked about. This was a YA, but also it's kind of a YA contemporary, but it's also kind of a thriller. So yeah, I gave this 3 stars. So that's all of the books that I read this month. That is 25 books. If you couldn't, like, if you weren't like really keeping count, but it was a weird month. Yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. Goodbye.